You guys seem to dig that, right? Bring our guest back up, writer-director Burnham. I mean, I can't imagine any other first question, but just talking about finding Elsie. And we talked about this before, but it still baffles me how a girl that you are looking for to play a character like this would even come in for an audition. That she would just be too, I mean, just talk about like what was it about her when you first met her that you liked, and why was she the right person for this, and what was she like in the audition, like how?
Yeah, I mean, it was a hard ask, it felt like, to find this type of person. I really wanted to feel like a shy person pretending to be confident and not a confident person pretending to be shy, which is what most of the young actors would do.
Right.
You'd meet the young actors and they'd be really interesting and there's 10 things going on in their face and head, and then you give them a scene and all of a sudden they're really happy and then they're really sad. It's like, they sort of simplify their chaos very quickly, and Elsie was sort of the unicorn that was able to embody all the vulnerability that was needed for Kayla, and yet also sort of carry a production on her shoulders, because she's doing a person doing a performance. You know what I mean? Kayla is constantly trying to perform for people, and when I look, I don't see Elsie being Kayla, I see Kayla being who she wants to be, and then that was pretty immediate. I mean, I met with every young actor in the world for this, and like, it was never alive until she read it, truly. And I tested her 7 times, but I never saw another kid more than once. So I remember writing it for her, which is not the case because I wrote it when she was 11.
Well, let's talk about the beginning of the writing. What were some of the things that you wanted to try to fit into this screenplay? What were some of your personal anxieties and thoughts, particularly about the internet, but also just about youth? What were some of the things you started out as in the script?
Yeah, my impulse was really just wanting to write about my feelings, which was at the time I was coming to grips with my own anxiety and feeling like it was tied to the internet somehow, and wanting to talk about that, and then sort of stumbling on the voice of this girl and finding that I could say everything I wanted through her. But yeah, I didn't want to bring a lot of my youth to it. I wanted to make something that was not nostalgic, it was not remembered. I like movies that are like that, but I wasn't coming in going, I'm the adult that's been where you are, and so I'm going to show you what it's like. My disconnect from her is twofold. I was never a 13-year-old girl, and I was never a 13-year-old right now, and both of those lend themselves to a very specific experience. So I tried to, again, not pull, I mean, there's little things from my youth. Yeah, we were stacking markers and sniffing markers and all that stuff. But it really was wanting to, I mean, I can just smell it a mile away when it feels like adult pandering to kids. And I told the kids and her all the time, this movie is coming to you, not the other way around. You tell me when something's bullshit. I still don't know what Gucci means. Like, it's like that's just something she said on set all the time. It's like she would just say Gucci, Gucci, Gucci. And then I started to say it because I knew it embarrassed her, and then it got so banal that it was like gaffers being like, is this Gucci? And then the videos were filmed sort of towards the end, and it felt like she needed a sign off, and so she literally has the last word of the film. Yeah. Oh, and I wanted to quickly shout out, we got a bunch of Chicago crew members that worked on this. This is a really, in a big way, a Chicago film. Andrew Wade, our cinematographer, Gary Maloof, our ACAM ops out there, and they're great. Is Sarah here? I don't think Sarah's here. But yeah, I'm a Boston guy, and it feels like Chicago's kind of just like a better Boston a little bit. But it got bigger. I'll say bigger.
The first video, without specifically going into any information about her life, tells us almost everything we need to know about her, just in a few, and a lot of that is in the delivery, but it's also in the writing. Was that always the first scene? Is that always how you wanted to sort of let us know what she was in a nutshell?
Yeah, the way getting into this world really was just watching videos of kids that age talking about themselves online. And I was sorting it by upload date, not view count, because there's a really bad thing where we only pay attention culturally to the people that go viral, when truly the majority of the way people participate in the internet is not being heard and not being seen by a lot of people. So I'm, mostly interested in that. But it was, and it's partly a reason why I ended up being a girl was I watched hundreds of these videos. The boys tended to talk about Minecraft. The girls tended to talk about their souls. So it was sort of like, it was just, you know what I mean? It's like, well, I think that's, if it was a boy, it'd be like 90 minutes of Fortnite references or something. But yeah, so initially it was just watching those videos, and the initial challenge was just, can I transcribe what these kids are saying and just capture this sort of staccato way that they speak, the sort of, yeah, well, what I want to, anyway, what I mean is, and the script is written like that, and it is performed by Elsie like that. The script, the movie is way less improvised than it appears, and that's to her credit. It's a very, very technical performance. I wasn't setting out to make, like, Homeward Bound, where it was just like, you be you, and I'll just, like, figure it out. She was a technical performer, and I had a dialogue with her like I would with any actor.
I will admit, and maybe you guys experience this too, for a little while I felt really bad anytime I laughed at her. Anytime that I laughed at anything she did, because you feel like you're part of the problem then, is that you're almost belittling her. But at a while, it just comes a point where you can't help it. And I almost wanted to say something at the beginning, don't feel bad about laughing, but I wanted you to kind of go through it too.
Well, yeah, it takes a few minutes. Part of the opening scene of the movie, those first 3 minutes, is just like trying to get the audience just literate in the language of the movie. Like, yeah, it's gonna be this bad. Like, it's gonna be, I'm saying it's gonna be this inarticulate to you. And I would get the impulse to resist laughing because you worry that the movie might be cruel to her. But I think after a while you realize that the movie is with her. It's not, I love Welcome to the Dollhouse, but I find that movie pretty cruel. I love Todd Solondz, but I didn't want to, I'm not a psycho. I don't know. No, I'm not. I mean, it's like Genius, but I think I love cringe. I think cringe is a really high form of empathy, and there's a way you can. It's like when you read your old stuff when you were in 8th grade, you can laugh at yourself and love yourself. There's no, it's silly, and yeah, of course, it's all crazy and wild.
But the last thing, okay, so there's a there should be a microphone right there. I can't quite see it, but there should be a microphone in this aisle right here. Oh, there it is. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to ask one more question. If you guys, we're going to sort of start a line over here. I can't promise we're going to get to everybody. It depends on how many people there are.
It's tough. But put yourself out there.
And we're going to ask, wait, the one thing I want to ask though, wait, quiet down. It's, oh my gosh, crazy. I want to ask, the only thing I'm going to ask of you is make sure your question is in the form of a question, please. End it in a question mark, that sort of thing. The last thing I wanted to ask you about was, is about about your feelings about, as much as this is about a girl who kind of lives on the internet to a certain degree, I feel like I don't know that many teenagers that live on the internet. I know a lot of adults that live on the internet. How much of this is about your relationship with the internet versus maybe the teen culture?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all about that. I mean, there's a few points. One is that I do think the internet makes sort of 8th graders of us all a little bit, and I feel like the sort of cultural conversation is happening at an 8th grade level. I mean, the president's reading level is an 8th grade. That's probably kind, but easy in those. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I see myself in her. This is not a story about my future daughter or my younger sister or any of that bullshit. I mean, truly, it's like, I don't know why there's a pretty obviously sort of sexist narrative in a lot of art that, movies about, or stories about the human condition need to be about, a male poet in the woods or some shit. And it's like, why can't, I do think everyone should be able to see themselves in her, that of course, I hope it serves the specific experience of being a young female, and I was very aware of that and subjugated myself to the truth of what she had and was going through. But at the same time, I had to believe, she's as indicative of the human condition as anybody, and Hamlet isn't just for princes of Denmark. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I made Hamlet. I'm just saying, I hope 50-year-old men see themselves in her as much as they do, Dad.
Yeah. All right.
Very tall. Hi, so thank you for coming. The movie was amazing. I'm a fan of a lot of your other work, and I was noticing that a lot of it is available to stream online, and I think that there's an interesting conversation going on about like releasing films in a theater versus streaming. And I was just wondering like what your decision was based on like releasing this theatrically versus all of your previous work, like your stand-up sets being available to stream.
Totally, yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, my stand-up sets are available to stream, but I mean, they were built and, built from the ground up for the live, performance, And so I've always been in love with theaters and just the experience collectively of people. And it just feels like, I mean, to me, people are talking about, movie theaters being dead or going, and it's like, I just think a place really simply where we're all forced to pay attention to something and put away our phones is so incredibly, incredibly valuable. And when you're watching things on a small screen, you have your phone in your pocket and you can pause and you go to the bathroom. I mean, these are things a million people have said. But also the significance of it to me was putting her on a big screen. You know what I mean? There's something about when images are on a large screen that you are just subordinate to it. And to have her story be big, that it was important to me that her story is worthy of being bigger than you. So that's part of it, I think.
Thank you.
Speaking of the theatrical experience, we should mention the film actually opens July 13th, right? July 13th. So, if you like the film, please feel free to spread the word because a film like this is going to kind of succeed.
I will say also the film, I should never say this, the A24 will kill me for this, but it also is going to be, I'm actually like, it is a fun film to watch alone on your laptop. Go to the theater, but there's also some thematic stuff that makes that cool too, but whatever. But forget I said that. Don't write that down, please.
Hi, I followed I've been following your comedy career since What, and I know that music plays a very big part of how you do your comedy act, and that's a very big part of you in general. And I know that you're probably going to continue writing and directing movies, but one thing I wanted to ask is the possibility of whether you will possibly score movies, and if so, like who would you consider your compositional muses?
Oh, whoa. So I wrote a full temp score for this movie, and it was a good placeholder and it wasn't that great, but it was vaguely what I wanted it to sound like. And then I found Anna Meredith, and she's an absolute complete genius. She's a Scottish composer and is classically trained, but has started to do electronic stuff. And it was just like, oh, this is what I would write if I was a genius at composing, which I'm really not. And I have like no interest in being a multi-hyphenate for multi-hyphenate's sake, truly. Like, oh, I'll compose just because I can kind of do a shitty job at it. So truly, I'm very limited compositionally. I'm pretty good melodically and lyrically, but I would need a partner for that. But scoring a movie, maybe. I mean, I almost scored this movie, and then Anna blew me out of the water, and it was just so obvious. So, yeah, she's incredible. And you should check out her music. Her album, Online Varmints, is incredible. I mean, she's just unbelievable. But thank you. I appreciate the question.
Hey, so thank you. I've been following again to echo your career. It's been great. Love it. And I'm sure I'm not the first, blonde white girl who can relate to the film. So I know you spoke a little bit to your anxieties and like your thoughts for beginning the writing process, but what did that process actually look like for you, and what's next?
The process of starting to write?
Yeah.
It really was just writing those monologues, starting to write original versions of her videos, and then just like, I was at a place where I just wanted to enjoy doing something, so it was really just like, I just want to write just shit I like not really worry too much about structure and just write scenes I want to be in. And that was very, very quick. I mean, like, I'm not a terribly quick writer usually, but this is like 2 weeks or something. It was very, very quick. Sort of got 80 pages together, and then I could sort of move it into a coherent narrative story. But I was just trying to get in there and do what I like to see, which is scene work and performance and all that, yeah. So that's cool. Appreciate the question. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Hello. one, first of all, I just want to say it's a beautiful movie. It was stunning. Second of all, I know that this is your feature film debut, and I'm actually planning on shooting my first full-length feature this summer. And I just want to ask, what were the challenges you faced when filming your first full-length feature, and was it difficult to convey your writing onto the screen?
Yeah, do you write the movie as well?
I did, yes.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, it's all a challenge. Like, it's all impossible, and like most I could do is just like try to prepare myself to learn enough lessons so that the amount of lessons I learned didn't sink the thing. But truly, it's like that's the joy of the thing is actually. I mean, this is really wonderful and flattering. It's so nice to be here. But like the joy of the thing is the learning and in making it and having an idea of where it's going to be and seeing it fall short and measuring that distance and trying to adjust. So yeah, I mean, again, like I feel like I have absolutely no authority to speak on filmmaking. Like I'm still so new to it. But yeah, I mean, just enjoy it and have fun with it and do it. I mean, it's exciting. Be really excited about it. I mean, I think the best thing you can bring to a set, in my again very limited experience, is like contagious passion. If you are or in contagious focus, if you can be focused and passionate. That's important. If you can get people to talk about yourselves, if you can get people to care about it how you care about it, even a little, that's dope or something. But you know what I mean? You seem passionate and excited about it. Just keep that and like, don't be afraid of that. And definitely don't be afraid about caring. You know, because what's the fucking point? You know, it's not gonna cussing. Thank you so much.
Hi, Bob. I'm Trevor. So I just wanted to ask you, I feel like a lot of movies like this could exist in kind of a kids-only world where the adults are very much on the periphery, non-existent, oblivious.
Yeah, Peanuts. That was sort of the thing.
Exactly.
Like doing
That's kind of what I was
Peanuts.
thinking. And so I was wondering how you decided on the kind of correct level of awareness for the father to be actually fairly involved and savvy about what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I feel like both of them. I feel like a nervous kid on the internet, and I feel like an oblivious dude that has no idea what a young girl's going through. You know what I mean? So that was part of it. I felt like both of them. What's up? It's all good. Or is that out in the lobby? I'm sorry. I'm very distracted. I used to be up here and I would zing people. That would be my thing. But I just tried to turn it off. But yeah, I mean, I wanted it to feel that way. I wanted it to feel like, you know, the dude that's just in the doorway or across the table, you know, and that's really approach to everything, is just really trying to make a very, very, very subjective film that feels, we don't see what she doesn't see. We're not aware of anything she's not aware of. And we're actually not even aware of everything she's aware of, because we only know her for 5 days. So, yeah, I was just trying to be natural and, yeah, subjective and things.
I like it.
Krisha, Trey Edward Schultz's movie, which is another A24 movie, is a really beautiful, and a lot of Cassavetes stuff, really beautiful, subjective. You know, The Wrestler too, just like, you know, there's a lot of subjective, I really love subjective filmmaking for this movie, so that was part of it.
Thank you.
I'm gonna be very stupid. Could we kick a woman up the line a little bit, if that's okay? No, it's not her. Just the second one. It's just a lot of. I'm sorry, guys. It's just like they'll probably have slightly better questions. I'm not being easy. I'm really not being easy. I'm not trying to go for an easy applause.
Hi, I'm a massive fan of your work. I was wondering, I remember at the end of Make Happy, you talked about a generation of people performing to each other through social media. I was wondering if this film was in any way an exploration of that idea or sort of fleshing it out more?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, totally. Yeah. You know, I was talking through my face a lot, and I was getting really tired of myself as a subject. You know, like, it was really, truthfully, this is going to be a backwards answer to this question, but like, I did a lot of comedy, you know, and people would be like, you're a comedian for 13-year-old girls. And at some point I was like, yeah, fuck yeah I am. Yeah, hell yeah. You know what I mean? And it really was like, I would do shows, and like, mostly like, the people that would really understand what I was going for on stage were girls, younger women, more than guys my own age. So if there was a bridge I had to walk over to write this movie, it was built from them to me. So again, it was like, I felt understood by them, so I felt like I felt understood by them, so I felt like I could understand them. And I think it has something to do with performance and feeling like your life is a performance, feeling like your life is a shitty movie. I mean, that's part of like her, I think, anxiety is feeling like, man, the movie of my life sucks. I wish I sounded like those girls in the movies that sound like little poet laureates when they talk about their life. I can't put the words together. I can't articulate myself. And I just think that's the whole story of, for me, being alive, is just how, you know, poor an imitation the words are of what we're feeling inside. Much like this answer. But thank you, it's a great question, thank you.
Does it drive you crazy when teenage characters in movies talk like 30-year-olds, or like when they
Well, the teenage characters in movies tend to talk suspiciously like screenwriters. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
Obviously. You know, and that's not the issue. You know what I mean? Like, this is my life, and I don't know. So whatever. I mean, some stuff's good, and like aspirational, hyper articulate kid, that can be cool. That, again, it's like art is an ecosystem of a lot of different stories. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't feel like I said a complete sentence until I was 20. You know what I mean? So like I really, and so, and I don't know. That's beautiful. It's so beautiful to try to speak and fail, and try to express yourself and fail, especially in a culture that is just built on expression as the only currency. You know, what if you can? Well, you know, you're still a, you know, whatever.
Thank you for coming out. I was wondering, because I know you, I'm sorry. I know you did kind of production work on Zach's film, and I was wondering, like how it compares, like from like a TV show, kind of like for a different, I'd say, like audience, to like, you know, like a film.
Yeah. You mean MTV and A24 don't have the exact same audience? Yeah. No, one, it's hard to conflate with, like, I was 20 then, you know, when I was 26 or 7, whatever, when this happened. So, like, that's very different. But I didn't really know anything about production at that point. I would just sort of, you know, I wasn't directing. I was just sort of writing the other stuff. But yeah, this was right. I loved working on that show. But this was a tight, intimate crew of, you know, like, me and the production designer and the DP and the camera operator and the producer, we all lived in a house together, you know what I mean? And so it was like summer camp too. Like the energy of the kids was just so infectious. So really, like, the kids led the way the whole time. The kids were just incredible and funny and weird and reliable, and so that's what I remember. You know what I mean? I remember just like, I can't believe we got. I'll never make something that fun ever again, you know, unless we do like 5th grade next or something. But that'll just be insanity.
Thank you.
I'm being told we have time for 2 more questions. So.
She knows the deal. I've already set up a dynamic. She knows she can.
That's fine.
Good work.
Okay, so
Get it.
we've got all these serious questions about art and directing, but my most pressing question is, what are your wrist and ankle measurements so I can lock you in my basement forever?
You asked for it.
It's a 2-parter.
What's more indicative of this moment than a nice gesture immediately? Whatever, quippy response.
Get back to me on that. So
Yeah.
the second part is something serious. What's your favorite part about directing your first movie?
This is a real 8th grade moment right now. It was her 100,000%. It was the greatest privilege of my professional life to work with her, 100%. It's what makes what makes this entire process incredible is that, like, I am an anxious person. I could come into these screenings really loaded, or like when we were at Sundance, I could have been, you know, so nervous, but seeing it through her eyes is so inspiring. And like, the fact that I got to be a part of a movie that stars Elsie Fisher is like, you know, I don't really give a shit what happens after it, totally.
Evening. First, thank you so much for coming to Chicago.
I love the hope of you all still being in line. It's very sweet. Keep believing. Was an 8th grader in line? Oh, sorry. Bye. Are you here with your parents, Max?
Yeah, I'm here with my mom.
That's what. How was? You sit right over here. Yeah. That's very sweet. How'd you like the banana scene, Mom? That's all good. What's your question, buddy?
I'm gonna ask how was it like filming the Truth or Dare scene?
Damn.
Is there gonna be a Zack Stone revival?
No, stay here. Those questions have two very different levels of intensity. I don't know if Zach Stone's gonna be back. It'd be fun to check in on when he's 30 or something. But whatever. The other one was, the scene itself feels intense and scary. I communicate a lot with you're in 8th grade now?
I'm going into 8th grade.
Okay, exciting. So, it was a lot of communication with the actress, her dad, making sure they were comfortable with it. There's like 7 people in the car and 50 people around the car, so it's a lot less scary and lonely than it actually appears. But, the hope of the scene, which is to try to portray a certain type of thing that on paper might not seem like a big deal, but when you actually sit with her in real time, you realize how violent and sort of violating that thing is. And it's a conversation that a lot of schools aren't really having. You'll have a lot of education about anatomy and not really a lot of education about the dynamics of a relationship, of being a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and it's something that I hope, you might have heard people in the country talking about this stuff a little bit more, but we're hoping to try to invite a conversation about this slightly more subtle dynamics of young kids in very, very high stakes situations. These things are going to be really high stakes for you going forward, and the best thing to do, unlike that scene, is to be upfront and communicative the entire time. Communicate, talk with whoever you're with. And that's what that was, buddy. So I appreciate your time.